So welcome everybody. This is going to be an interview with Conquer Your Now and Elliot Kay. He's a wonderful personal development leader. He's been to Africa, he's been to the USA, and he's currently, working on 3 different businesses. He's a great guy, and I'm ready to interview him and pick his brain a little bit. So let's welcome Elliot Kay.
Hey, how's it going, San Francisco?
All right, so why don't we tell everybody a little bit about yourself, Elliot? Who you are.
Sure. So what I do now is I strategically help with, I work with coaches, consultants, trainers, and speakers. I really help them grow their businesses strategically and really work with them to get tangible results. So the space we're in is between 0 to 100K plus, but we do work beyond that. And my whole notion is really working on the strategy side of the business. As well as that, I also run a personal development side, which is on pause, and we'll come back to why a bit later. And that's really all about what we call the confidence breakthrough. And that's the steps to confidently pursue your purpose and path. And I'm also a commercial director for a public speaking company, so which keeps me occupied. So no idle thumbs where I am at.
Awesome. So it sounds like you're pretty busy, man.
Yeah, but busy, but also still living the life I want to live. And that's important, and we'll come to that.
Absolutely. So we'll go ahead and get right into it. When did you discover that you wanted to help others, Elliot?
You see, like yourself, having read your story, you kind of have that moment, don't you? You have that key moment where you have an epiphany or something just hits you. And for me, it was back in 2007, actually, when I was living, I'm from London, I'm in the UK, so that's my funny accent. And I was in training and I wanted to progress, become a better trainer. So I started to study coaching. And as part of my qualifications, we had to actually work with people. And it was session 3 with this girl called Jan, and she was a guinea pig client. And she just said something that really changed everything. And she just said, Elliot, through working with you, I learned that I need to be happy to lose weight and not lose weight to be happy. And that was really the key sentence that changed everything and really got me to up my game and got me to really intensify my studying. Because up until that point, I was half doing it, here and there. But after that, I was really intensely studying. I was working away. I graduated with a distinction, over 50 hours coaching, and and that's really what started my path. I think before that, I talk about this in my 3rd book as well. I think a part of me has always had that kind of wanting to help, but never in a frame of building a business from it. But that was my key moment, that moment that Jan said that sentence. I was like, okay, because, as the whole shivers down my body, and I was like, oh my God, this is what I'm meant to do in life. And that's why, and that was the moment.
That's awesome, man. And, that sentence you said, it's really powerful because we have to remember that, happiness does come from within us. We shouldn't have to do certain things to be happy. We should be happy to do these things, because to be healthy, to, have a roof over our head, things like that.
Absolutely. And that's when I understood that I could have this influence on people in a positive, constructive manner. I was literally, I knew I had to do this for the rest of my life, pretty much.
Awesome.
For as long as I live, that is.
I'm in the same boat as you, man. And I'm trying to build it out right now, and I'm going to start helping people. I've done it in the past a little bit. But anyways, that'll be another conconversation.
The nice thing is, I can only assume you're fairly young, right?
Yes.
You're 23. The great thing is you're starting this young and you're really out there, putting yourself out there, sharing your story. And I know you share your story to impact people, and that's why you're sharing your story, because you're saying, if I can do it, you can do it. So it's so great that so many young leaders are coming through, and the world really needs more people like you to come through. So keep that in mind.
Thank you, Elliot. I appreciate that.
My pleasure.
All right. So what led you to create Power to Succeed?
So Power to Succeed was born out of an accumulation of various activities and exercises that I constructed to help people shift. It's also the name of my third book. I don't know if you knew that, but that's the name of my third book as well. The reason I created Power to Succeed is because I wanted to put together a year course. I mean, it starts with 2 days, and then there's lots of weekends, but I wanted to give people a journey to truly understand what does it mean to have the power to succeed for the individual, you know, a bit like Jan when she said, you know, I need to be happy to lose weight, right? So what does it mean for you to have the power to succeed? What does it mean for an individual? And I accumulated a lot of activities that I created for both helping myself through stuff and helping other people. And I put that under one banner, which was Power to Succeed. And throughout the Power to Succeed process, we covered different aspects of Power to Succeed. So, excuse me, I've got a little bit of a cold here in London, so excuse my sniffling. That's okay. So, you know, the initial one is a 2-day intro and what are the 7 steps to kind of really be confident to succeed. And then after that, we have different themes. So one looks at really your internal dialogue. Then we look at business things. How do you communicate your message? How do we write books and things like that? How do you get into action? Because I got really frustrated with the industry in the UK that everything was, you know, was a big hype and then everyone would crash. So I wanted to create something that had a sustainability and a sustainable model. And that's how I built Power to Succeed.
Awesome. Okay. And that's what it's about. You know, too many people, they build things and they're not sustainable. They don't last. They don't really work. And
yeah.
That's great that you're doing that, making sure that everything, you know, that you build is sustainable because it's going to last and it's going to really help people. And that's what we need.
Yeah. And it's about, look, you know, true, real success, true longevity, happens slowly. And I know there's a lot of hype out there and I can do it in 6 months, I can do it in 12 months, I'm a self-made millionaire. And you know, the reality is, the truth is, even self-made millionaires have teams behind them. And even, you know, people that hit massive success, it takes time. And for it to be sustainable, it has to be built on a good infrastructure. And unless you have that infrastructure, you're building on hype or hope, and both of them at the end come crashing.
So true. So, Elliot, what's been the most difficult thing for you creating a successful business, and how did you overcome it?
For me, the real pain part of this whole process came in 2011 when I was in Australia. I don't know if you read about that, but basically, I kind of, this is what I'm talking about, hope and unsustainability. So at the end of 2010, I had my most successful year in the business, and I packed my bag and I went to Australia, and I was like, yeah, man, I'm a laptop coach and I've succeeded. Yeah, dude, you know, it's a bit like that. And it's all going so well, but within 2 weeks, it all crashed. All of it crashed. I lost all of my clients because they finished their coaching but didn't renew. A property I invested here in the UK crashed, so the bank wanted its money. And then the girl that I followed myself to Australia left me. So I was like, okay. And, you know, the most difficult part for me in that process, although it's the greatest thing that happened to me looking back, was how do I deal with the inner judgment that comes with potentially failing? And I think that's a key obstacle for a lot of people when they pursue this path, is you can understand fear of failure on an intellectual level, and you can go to as many seminars as you want that kind of go, you need to face your fear. But until you're faced with the fear of failure, only then does it become a truly tangible thing. And I think for me, the key part was, you know, the fear of going back to the UK in 2 weeks at the time, knowing that potentially I'm going to be a massive failure. And what I did from that is really told myself there and then that I had to commit to doing things differently, that I wasn't ready to give up, and I had to face the pain of potentially failing, whatever happens. And that's what kept me going and really drove me forward. So to deal with all that at once, to me, was one of the most painful things. And I've had some painful experiences in the past, but that kind of was really the most painful moment and the pinnacle of my change and my transformation. And actually, from that, I grew a much more sustainable and better business, and able, you know, if you said to me 3-4 years ago that I'd be running 3 businesses, I would have said to you, Jordan, you're mad. you know? So, yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, and that's the key, commitment. Like you said, people are, afraid of failure, but until you actually experience it, it's not a tangible thing. And you're never going to experience a failure unless you commit and you take action. But the commitment that you made, it allowed you to build something, successful, sustainable, something that is going to last as long as you want it to. And
Yeah.
that's the key, just committing and taking that first step and not giving.
It's also, sorry to interrupt you, but it's also about commitment, sustainability, focus, but it's also learning the lessons, right? It's also really about going, okay, how did I contribute, but B, what's the lesson here? Because again, a lot of people can be very sort of arrogant or ego-driven, that they're like, oh no, it won't happen again to me. But it's about sitting down and going, okay, what's not working here? What didn't work? And how can I do it better? And I think that's a key thing to remaining sustainable and committed, is being open and humble enough to learn the lesson that the universe or God or whatever you want to call the higher power to be is wanting to show you for you to progress.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's important as well, Elliot.
Yeah.
Well, our next question is, have you ever tried to help someone who couldn't be helped? And what did you do?
I think, you see, now I don't coach anymore. I'm a strategist, but definitely my coaching days. And even as a strategist, the answer is yes. Look, excuse me. A key thing in our approach, definitely in our approach, is a collaborative and a partnership approach. I can't work with you unless inherently, A, you believe that I can help you, and B, you want me to help you. So I have had people where I've sat there, because I always do an informal coffee. I always have a chat first before I work with anyone, right? And I've had people going, I want you to change me. And I'm like, well, I can't change you unless you want to change. And I certainly can't do the work for you. And they're like, no, but I thought you're this big coach or you're this. And I'm like, look, whatever you think and perceive of me, you still need to want this to work. And if it doesn't want this to work, I can't help you. So I was seeing this lady, she was from South Africa. We had this really long talk. She's been to all the big seminars. You can name, you name any of the big names, she's been there. She's still stuck. We sat down, we had coffee, and we had this long talk. And I just said to her, look, do you believe that I can help you? And she said, no. I said, well, then there's nowhere for us to go. And that's the other thing. It's like you have to know when to walk away, So not everything is a gold piece from the stream, right? A stone is still a stone. You can't polish a stone and hope it to turn into a gold piece. And some people just want to stay stones. And some you do need to brush and discover their gold pieces, right? So, yeah, I've had a few of those in my time, which is why I do the informal chat first, by the way, so I can, because she was willing to pay me up front. And I was like, hey, before you pay me, let's make sure I'm right for you.
Right. And that's the important step, because you got to make sure there's a fit there. And like you said, if a person doesn't want to be helped, there's nothing you can do to help them if they don't want to change. So
exactly. I mean, you must know people around you that it's sad and all you can do is kind of be there for them, but you must have people in your life that you can see them going down a path and you can warn them and you can take them, you can tell them, but they're like, no, it won't happen to me, or and it's not going to happen. They're going down a bad path, but unless they want to change that path, it's a sad reality that there's nothing you can do.
Absolutely. So I hope you guys got that, everybody. What Elliot just said is very important. You want to do a sit down with your clients before you actually take them on as your clients, because if you don't, you'll end up with a client. Yeah, you'll have money in your pocket, but you'll be stuck with a client who's not willing to change, and it's going to make things harder down the road, and they may ask for their money back anyway. So keep that in mind, when you're building a business, on how you want to build it.
And if I can just add to that, it's beyond just asking for the money back, it's your reputation.
Absolutely. That's the biggest thing too, the reputation, for sure.
Absolutely.
All right. So has there been a time when you didn't know what to do to help a client? And what did you do?
Probably at the beginning, the first couple of years when I was coaching, and you know, what I would do is I would say, I'm not quite sure how to address this, and give me some time and I will address it the next session. Or what I would do is pause that and say, look, I think you need to see this person. So I was working with this incredible lady. She was sexually abused from the age of 6 to 12. And my expertise isn't sexual abuse, by the way. She approached me because she heard about me. And when I worked with her, I said, look, I can't help you on the sexual abuse, but I can help you get the confidence to go to someone to face it. Does that make sense? Yeah, so we worked together, and there came a point where she went really deep and dark towards, you know, post-traumatic stress disorder. And so I paused there. I said, look, go see someone about this and then come back to me. So that's how I addressed that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So what work are you currently involved in? Are you working on any specific projects right now?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm going to start writing my 4th book, which is all about, it's going to be strategy for coaches. It's not, I don't have a deadline yet. And the other thing I'm working on right now is really bringing the strategy side to coaches, consultants, and trainers using this tool, this amazing tool that helped me turn my business around. So those are the projects I'm working on right now. Actually, we're probably in the next 18 months going to come out to the US and launch out there. So we're looking to extend our wings a little bit more to the USA. Going to be in California, but don't worry, 10 hours away from you. But the key projects is really helping coaches and leaders like yourself to truly build sustainable businesses. That's our passion. That's our purpose now. Having been there and done it myself, having been burnt out and bankrupt, and knowing that there are little things you can avoid from a business point of view, that's our focus right now. That's really where, that's where our passion is. Because like I said to you at the beginning, the world needs great leaders, whether they be 23-year-olds or 50-year-olds, age is irrelevant, or 100-year-old, right? The world needs great leaders right now, and I really want to be and be behind the leaders coming through. That's why I've stepped away from coaching, and I'm more about strategy, and that's my project. My project is to get this tool in front of as many people as possible.
Okay, good. So you have a lot of experience, Elliot.
Yep.
You've been doing this for over 17 years now, and I want to ask you, who were some of your mentors growing up?
Yeah, so some of the mentors, one second, guys. Sorry about that, Jordan.
Oh, no problem, man.
Could you hear that in the background?
Just barely.
Okay, cool. Not to worry. Look, it's live, right? This is it. It happens. So who are some of the mentors? Some you might. Do you mean actually that I've worked with face to face, or people I look up to when you say mentors?
It can be people you look up to, just mentors, people, who you followed, reading their books, attending seminars. I mean, anything of that nature.
Sure. So some of my mentors that you probably like, the guy that really mentored me for strategy is a guy called Derry Lelwyn Davis. Don't ask me to spell his name. But he's the guy that really, really, in the last 5 years has helped me, stop thinking like a coach and start acting like a business, which is a fundamental change. In terms of speaking, there's a guy called Clinton Swain. He's actually based out in San Diego. He runs something called Frontier Training. So, highly recommend. It's all experiential. In terms of, in between that, I've had several mentors. Another guy that really had a massive influence on me is a guy called Wolfgang Sonnenberg. And this guy went from being 2 million in debt to making 250 million in 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And I worked with him for over a year. We're still good friends. We're very close. And I think in terms of those guys probably had the biggest influence on me throughout, when things were good and when things were bad, right? Equally speaking. In terms of people that I look up to, I would say the people I look up to, well, look, you can't, I think if you're in this space, even if you don't like him, you've got to respect him, and that's Tony Robbins. I've never been to UPW, by the way. I've never been to Unleash the Power Within, but I've studied his methodologies. and I've listened to him, and you've got to respect the guy. You know, no one does it like he does it. Gary King, who works very closely with Tony Robbins, is someone I'm influenced by. He talks about even a white lie being dangerous, and white lies to ourselves aren't very good. Who, in terms of seminars, who have I seen that I really am inspired by? Do you know about John DeMartini?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's a massive influence of mine. Like, again, I've met the guy. He proofread my second book. But in terms of his whole approach, his whole methodology, he has had a massive influence. So he's never mentored me directly, but he's definitely his teachings here. I've seen a lot of his seminars, and whenever I see him, I'm blown away. Another one's Brian Tracy. I think he's an incredible person to listen to, and just full of knowledge. He's really had an influence on me. And I'm thinking who else? I mean, I really like Tim Ferriss's concepts of, you know, how to leverage, how to scale, you know, 4-hour work week, things like that have had an influence on me. And Richard Branson, you know, I don't think you could be an entrepreneur without Richard Branson kind of having some influence on you as well. And I think, you know, someone that might surprise you a lot is will.i.am. I think I really like him, and I like his approach, and I like his approach to entrepreneurship. And I think as an example of someone that's got a passion but doing something that's great and good for the world, and truly believes in the core of intuition and artistic, and, you know, truly pursuing your path, I think he's a great example. He's a great example for young people as well. I'm
gonna have to look into him. I didn't know he was into all that.
Oh, you need to check out his entrepreneurial side. Yeah, but will.i.am, he launched this whole concept, which is creating, I think it's suitcases from recyclable cans. Check it out. Yeah, he's a really interesting guy.
All right. Thanks for sharing that.
That's gladly. I've actually even danced in front of will.i.am. Yeah, and he said, "Dude, you got some moves." That's cool.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, so those are some of the biggest influences on me. And, you know, the most important thing, I think, for anyone out there who's looking for mentors and people like that, you know, I would just suggest that whoever you choose to follow, just make sure they're walking their walk, that they're not hypists, you know, they're not what I call Hollywoodists, that it's all like, yeah, and it's like a great picture, but there's no substance.
Right.
And I would also look for longevity, like who's been around for a while is really important.
For sure. Okay. So this is the last question I have for you, Elliot. And,
oh, no.
You've been great on here so far. This last one is for people, you know, looking to start, you know, a business, maybe in the personal development, maybe to be a coach or a consultant, or, you know, even to help people to come up with strategies. So what advice would you give someone just starting out, you know, with their business?
I'd say jump on an informal Skype call with me. I'll gladly have a chat with you about it. No obligation, you know, it's informal chat, right? But besides that, look, you've got to, not all good ideas are businesses, right? Not all good concepts are businesses. So I would say, first of all, think, what is the purpose that you want it to be a business, right? That's so important. Why do you want to build a business out of it? And I always start this when I meet anyone. I'm like, okay, why do you want this to be a business? Then you've got to really, truly, I know you believe and hopefully and stuff, cool, that will get you so far, but you've got to truly see if this is a viable business. And that does mean looking at the market space you're going into, how are you going to distinguish yourself? I think you've probably heard this a lot, but I can't stress it enough. How are you going to distinguish yourself? And remember, people buy because it serves them. So you've got to learn to love your customer's problem, right? So unless you can figure out what your customer's problem is, it doesn't matter how good your service is unless you have a massive marketing budget, you see? So I think the people in the space we're talking about is you've got to understand who is your ideal client. This is so important. What is their problem? Fall in love with their problem. I say this so many times, right? Understand why you want to build a business from this, and then you need to look at the 5 key areas of building the business, which is sales, marketing, people, operations, and finances. Not all at once, but you know, I'll just give you a very quick example. There's a girl that came to me recently, and when she came to me, she says she was billing herself. What was she calling herself? Something like a laptop tidying expert. And I was like, excuse me? She's like, yeah, you know, what I'll do is I help people tidy their laptops so they've got more time. And I was like, how much do you think you're going to be charging for this? And she's like, you know, 300 a day, 300 pounds, which is like $1,000. No, I'm kidding. It's like 450 bucks. And I was like, do you really think people are going to pay you that amount of money to tidy their laptop? And so we talked about it. And actually I said, look, your actual concept here is you help people with time management. And one of the processes you can teach them is how to keep their laptop tidy, or how to tidy and how to file, things like that. And that changed their whole business concept. So the key things, the takeaways, Jordan, is why do you want to build a business? Really, really, because, you know, and you want to build a business to support your lifestyle. Is your idea truly a business? And what is the problem you're solving? That's what I would look for when you're starting out.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Elliot.
My pleasure.
Today, you've given us some great insight, and you know, we really appreciate it. I know my readers out there have learned a lot from you today, as I have myself. And
my pleasure.
Have you on again in the future on a different topic, maybe. And
yeah.
To all my readers out there, all my followers, make sure you check Elliot Kay out. He's a great coach. He's a great strategist, and you know, he can help you out get started. Like he said, join him on a Skype call and he'll help you get started and see if the idea that you have in mind is a right fit, you know, for what you want to do. So definitely check him out, you guys. I'll include his links below the video, so that way you guys can check him out and make it easy for you guys. All right, thank you. All right.